Hey everybody, this is Grace, and in this video I'm going to talk about what some of you may have experienced. I know I have, concerning what they call these days complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, it's not a disorder, it's not in the DSM. Maybe it will be this year, or at least with the, World Health Organization. I think that's the one. Yeah, hopefully. And you know, some of the symptoms of, for me, the something that I want to talk about, I'm thinking it's connected, I would think so, is that of anxiety, panic attacks, and agoraphobia, what some people these days call agoraphobia, pronounced as. Yes, I have certainly experienced all three. The agoraphobia I only experienced twice in my life. Once when I was 28, and then when I was 33. I'm 54 now. Never experienced it any other time than that. I guess it was a really stressful time in my life. Both times I was attending university. I think it was the same university, University of Texas, Arlington. And I know the first time I was living on campus, and it became so bad that I couldn't even go from my campus apartment just like, I don't know how many feet, maybe 10 feet, 20 feet, I don't know, to check my mail out of the mailbox right there. It was pretty bad. I didn't want to leave. I experienced it, the great panic attack during a psychology final exam, a final exam in a psychology course. Yeah, I still remember thinking, this is question number 60 something. Yeah, I gotta finish. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I did pass that class, by the way. But at that point, I walked out, and there was another student in the class. She walked out with me, or right behind me, and I'm standing there, and I feel that feeling of the world is too huge. You know, it's just too huge, and I couldn't move. And apparently, she recognized it, and she told, you know, what was going on with me, and she told me that she had experienced, you know, great panic attacks herself. And you know, and at that point, I don't know if I had walked over to the what is it called? It was where they had the counseling and the doctors, university campus doctor, and it was a counselor, not a psychiatrist. But anyway, I remember I had an appointment. And this is when I was 28, and I remember that I had a hard time getting there. I had to walk across campus, and it was just like the world was just too huge for me. You know, too huge. But I made it. I don't know if I was seen that day or when, but I know it was a young student that saw me, someone working on their master's or PhD, and I made her cry. I was 28, and she was a little bit younger than I. And I made her cry, so they made an appointment for me to see the director, I believe, an older woman of that department. And I did at another time, and went through counseling for what was going on with me, and it was a lot of anxiety. Now, how long this went on, I don't recall. I don't recall how long. I hate to say that, I don't recall, but I don't remember that one. And when I was 33, it happened again. I remember I was in a grocery store buying groceries, and it used to be called Fear of the Marketplace, by the way, but it just seemed like it was too big. The store was too big for me, and I hurried up to get out, you know, and back then we wrote checks instead of using so many cards. And I was trying to write a check, and I don't think my signature, anybody could read it, and these days nobody can eat anyway. And these days it's because I want it like that. But, you know, and I got home, and I don't even remember that one where I lived, but I remember the first one for certain. But the thing was, I wouldn't want to leave. I would not want to leave my home. Like I said, I can't remember how long it went on. It could have been weeks, months. I don't know. I don't remember. But and then I remember there was one other time that I thought I was going to experience it, and or maybe that was that time. Yeah, that was that time when I was 33. Now I remember where I lived. Yeah, that time was when my dad had passed away. And at the same time my dad passed away, like right after that same month, I believe, or maybe the next month, I left Adam. And I had been married to Adam since I was 18. So, and plus I was a student, and then I moved, and I was living in the apartment by myself, and it was just trying to afford it, being a student and having anxiety, panic disorder, and all. And yeah, it was just, Dad passed out of a relationship, three of the big things. Anyway, so I experienced it again. I do remember thinking how ridiculous some people could be. And I still see it this way, but I understand it. You better understand it, but it's ridiculous. I had, like I said, agoraphobia, and I did not want to leave. The biggest fear was to leave my apartment, and I was somehow connected to, I think it was back then. Well, it was a state-run organization, and they said that I would need to come in for an appointment to be, evaluated. And I said, how would I do that? I just thought it was ridiculous. They said, well, you have to come in. They kept going on. I said, how am I going to do that when that is the problem? If I could go out of my apartment, then it wouldn't be a problem, and that's not true, but, anyway, they did make an appointment for somebody to come to see me, and the bad thing was I couldn't do that either. I should have remembered that from the first time, because I couldn't handle anybody being in my home. Adam had some school friends. He was attending university friends, and they came over, and I hid in the bedroom, and at one point I was standing there saying, couldn't decide whether I needed to step outside the window to stand outside, but my fear was of leaving the apartment, and I couldn't also stay inside because my fear was having people in my apartment. Got all that? Let me tell you, that is when, the anxiety is one thing when you feel like, okay, I cannot control this. I cannot control this anxiety. Why am I feeling this? Then it comes, it doesn't always become a panic attack. I can't control this. I learned, techniques myself on how to calm it all down. I wasn't taught. I just learned. For me, it was numbers. I just needed to add a bunch of numbers. Like I'm in a student in a class, and a panic attack hits me. I would sit there and do like a budget. Even though I'm missing the lecture, I'm still sitting there, and even that thought of getting up and leaving would be bad too on me. So I just add numbers, anything I could think of to add up. Now, for some people, numbers causes anxiety. This is not healthcare. I'm not a healthcare professional provider. This is just my experience. Yeah. By the way, at some point, while I was a student, there's a department. I can't remember what it was called, but it was for people that back then they called it disabled and disabilities. These days they wouldn't call it that, I don't think. But they determined that I had test anxiety. I always knew that I had test anxiety. Nobody needed to diagnose it, but yeah, I was diagnosed with test anxiety for their purposes. But I was also diagnosed with panic disorder. I think it was while I was working on a PhD, in which I got burnt out and didn't finish my PhD in counseling and developmental psychology. But yeah, where was I going with this? I'm feeling a little, I guess the reason is because was feeling a little disoriented this morning. This is still morning, but yeah, I was just feeling it. And I was thinking how I've been trying to avoid getting the flu by not going out so much, and I am a person who now, for years now, I have to get out of the house at least. I try it every day because I don't like staying. I'm a on the go person. But anyway, I've been trying to stay in because of the flu, how horrible it is. And it reminds me of that. It reminds me back when I had agoraphobia, and those 2 times, and I don't like that feeling at all. And it worries me because my brain is thinking logically, I don't work outside the home. I should try not to go out during the flu season because it affects me so bad. I'm wiped out for a month at least. I know it affects a lot of people like that, but yeah. Sure. Now, but what I don't remember is, did I do this when I was experiencing it, that I came up with good logical reasons why not to leave the house, you see? Now, that is something I never want to experience again. The last time I had a panic attack was last year, which I don't have them anymore. I should say this. I hardly ever have them anymore. It's like every blue moon. But what it was for me, I'm not saying this is for everybody, but for me, as it turned out, it was type 2 diabetes, and I was not on medication for it. Okay? It was not under control. It was way out of whack. And I don't think I even knew. Yeah, well, I did know then, but I was not on medication until after the second time I got on medication. And it took a while for me to realize that I wasn't experiencing that anxiety and then that panic, like I had before. And to eventually, it wasn't too long that I realized that what I was experiencing was, when I did experience like anxiety or panic attacks, was in situations where I just hadn't experienced it again since I got on that medication for type 2 diabetes, that it was learned behavior is what it was that I knew that I would have in the past, before that, prior to that. I would have a panic attack or anxiety, and then I wasn't experiencing it, and that brought about a little bit of, I'm not accustomed to that happening. Like, you go in a business meeting. Business meetings, classrooms, those were my worst. And I would experience. Now, if I didn't feel any, all of a sudden, once I started taking that medication for type 2 diabetes, and I wasn't experiencing that would bring it on. Does that make sense? I said it twice, 2 different ways. But one thing I did learn is, before any class or a business meeting or something, I should not eat. I should not eat, especially something that's loaded in, or just anything that has carbohydrates in it. Yeah, that's me. It's part of my type 2 diabetes. Same thing before I go to bed. Don't eat anything with glucose, or I'm going to have night terrors. This kind of thing. But anyway, I don't experience panic too much. I did last year. I was walking across. Well, I had walked across a bridge at a park into a recreational part, the building, and I walked across that bridge fine. Didn't even think about it. On the way back, right when my foot hit that bridge, boom, and I was walking, and that means I was in action, in movement, and my foot hit that bridge, and bam, the panic attack happened, and it was a big one. And I felt like freezing. It's fight, flight, or freeze. Mine was freeze. I know that other people say fawn and all this stuff. Well, anyway, mine was I wanted to freeze, but I wouldn't allow myself to. I just kept walking, but the world was spinning around me, this kind of thing. It could have been that I didn't have my Snickers bar that morning, So anyway, it could go either way for me. Okay, I think that was enough of a stream of consciousness video of mine. But anyway, if you want to share your experiences, leave a comment below. I'll go ahead and wrap this video up here. And if you want to subscribe, click the circle. If you want to watch another video, click on the rectangles. Like, subscribe, comment, and share if you would. And I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.